The invisible disabilities, dyslexia and dyspraxia, are disorders that have a big impact on the lives of the people who have them. In the UK, it's estimated that 10% of people live with dyslexia and about 2 to 6% live with dyspraxia. Both disorders often go unidentified or there is a late diagnosis. This can have a huge impact on their learning and well-being.
My name's Indy Flynn. I have dyslexia and dyspraxia, which means I consider myself to be neurodiverse. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 18 years old. And my mum got an educational psychologist to come in and they said, I'm more dyspraxic than I am dyslexic, but you won't get help at school unless you say you're predominantly dyslexic. It kind of affected me at school in the sense that I didn't really know what my left and right and things like that, and I always kind of felt different and stupid. Once I got the diagnosis, I felt great. I could put my finger on what was up with me. I embrace my dyslexia and dyspraxia. I don't see it as a negative thing, because without it I wouldn't be as creative. Visual things has always been my way to escape being differently abled. I may be really clumsy and awkward in most other ways and trip over my own feet like twice a day, but I can make things with my hands that are really intricate. I can draw things. I can, there's no barrier when I'm doing art. The only time I ever feel frustrated is when I'm having to write something, or I'm having to listen to someone tell me a sequence of events to do and I forget, or I forget someone's name after 2 seconds after they've told me it, and I always feel really bad for stuff like that. I wanted young people to feel that they're okay if they have dyslexia or dyspraxia or anything else in that matter. That's just part of being neurodiverse, and I wanted them to celebrate who they are. So I started a charity called Square Peg, and we deliver animation and film workshops to young people with additional needs like myself.
I have a dyspraxia and literacy difficulties, and was diagnosed only about 1.5 years ago.
I've got ADHD, dyspraxic and dyslexia. And really throughout my life, I found it like a bit of a struggle, because it takes me a wee bit longer to do things than maybe certainly maybe other people can do.
Some of the issues that have come up because of my dyslexia is, as I say, I sometimes have a bit of a memory problem. I can also suffer from memory overload.
I think there was a huge impact on my mental health for a start, and relationships and general organising my life.
I got diagnosed with dyspraxia when I was 6. A lot of teachers were there for me, and I couldn't do some of the stuff at primary school, but I was always sociable.
But I tried not to let that be a barrier. I'm always pushing myself and I'm always doing the very best I can, so I think that's all I can do really.
I maybe take a little bit longer to process things or write things down.
I had anxiety and depression from a very young age, and my parents didn't really understand my behaviour. I have a son who's 11 with both dyslexia and dyspraxia, and I would say as much as I was kind of distraught when I found out that he did have that, I felt very guilty. I also understand him and understand the difficulties that he is currently experiencing, and a lot of the anxiety and low mood that he gets. We all learn things differently, and it's just finding the right way for you. And yes, that can be quite time consuming and it can be quite frustrating, but once you find it, then it's kind of the key for the lock, and then I believe that then nothing can stop you really. You just have to kind of try and believe in yourself.
We now need to look at dyslexia and dyspraxia in greater detail. We have come up to Perth to Motivate Therapies to find out more.
I see children from all walks of life, all diagnoses, lots of children with coordination difficulties, which affects their school life, their home life, their leisure time, but it also affects their family. So that's really where I am focused on.
I'm an occupational therapist and I've been one for 20 years now with adults with dyspraxia, because that was an area that not many people were working in at the time, and there was increasing problems recognised.
Developmental coordination disorder, or DCD, is the worldwide diagnostic term for children and adults with coordination difficulties that are affecting their daily life. And dyspraxia it can be part of the umbrella term of developmental coordination disorder, but dyspraxia is really looking at praxis, or the motor planning, the ability to use their motor skills to make an action. But in this country we use dyspraxia to describe developmental coordination disorder, so it can be quite confusing to the people who are accessing services and how we use the terminology. One child in every classroom, basically, they would have a look at, and if you look at the ratio of boys to girls, for every one girl you'll get 4 boys, so it's quite prevalent. But you're looking at coordination difficulties, how to do basic independent skills, things like dressing, being able to brush your teeth, being able to organise your belongings is a big one, being able to organise your school bag, being able to organise yourself within the classroom, getting yourself around the classroom. You might trip over things, you might trip over your own feet. It's really about how it affects their day-to-day life.
Dyslexia is phonological awareness difficulties, so it's children would have difficulty with manipulating language. So it's reflected in all literacy tasks, so reading, writing, spelling. It's also to do with organising your thinking, your thoughts, and together it can be a very invisible disability for young people and adults. It's a lifelong condition. The biggest difficulty, I think, is being able to show your ability, your knowledge, in writing. It can affect every aspect of their lives. So often behaviour is treated first, looked at first. Children are perhaps written off because they haven't been able to concentrate and focus in class. But if you've not got the confidence, you've not got the self-esteem, every single class that you go into in school is reinforcing your difficulty with literacy, with writing down your knowledge, etc. It becomes overwhelming for them. When we learn language and logic, we use the left side of the brain. The right-hand brain is much more creative for music and art, etc. And research has shown that the person with a dyslexic brain is actually using their right brain more than their left. Sadly, by the time we see young people coming here, families are very often in crisis. Sadly, schools are not able to support as well as they ideally should because of cuts in resources and staffing. So more recognition, more appropriate support and opportunities across school, employment and further education.
If you think you're struggling, get checked out, see your learning support lecturer and they'll help you.
Dyslexia Scotland is a national charity. We aim to inspire and enable people with dyslexia to reach their potential in education, employment and life. From our base here in Stirling, we run a helpline which has around about 1,900 calls a year. We have an employment service, a tutor service and an assessment service. For children and young people, there is a special website called Dyslexia Unwrapped, and there's lots of information on that website, including a lot of videos, films, different stories and images from young people talking about what dyslexia means to them. Most people that we work with who have dyslexia say that it's really important just to Try and find a way of describing what your dyslexia means to you, and trying to build up a sense of what works for you, because everyone with dyslexia is different. And I think there's a lot of myths. Lots of people think that dyslexia is mainly about reading, writing and spelling, but for many people they can read and write very well. It might be slower, it might find it more difficult, but sometimes it's other things like the processing and the short-term memory and the working memory that could affect day-to-day life. So obviously it's hidden and you need to tell people and ask for help. Neurodiversity is an umbrella term of a range of different neurological differences, and quite often someone with, say, dyslexia and dyspraxia, or dyslexia and dysgraphia may experience some of the same kind of issues. So something like working memory could be something that people with different neurological differences may experience. I think the key thing is that you're not alone. There's plenty of help out there. So I'd say in the first instance get in touch with Dyslexia Scotland, and the more people that are willing to speak about their own experiences, the easier it will get over time to sort of challenge the stigma.
Before I came to the organisation, I didn't know that I was dyspraxic. I hadn't realised that it had impacted on my life, but looking back, having had the assessment and sort of seeing some of the issues that I had, a lot of things make sense to me now. I did find it difficult sometimes in terms of reading. Even though I enjoyed reading, it took me sometimes a while to read things, or I'd have to reread things. Seeing my peers and my siblings sort of doing quite well in education, and I felt like I was doing a lot of studying and a lot more than other people, and that I couldn't understand why I wasn't getting it as quickly as everyone else. Because I found out later in life, I think that I've built in some strategies without really realising it. I overplan things, I use mind maps for note taking, and that would have been something that was really useful to know about when I was in education, but I use it in my work life. There's not a lot of support for people with dyspraxia in Scotland.
We specialise in linking education and disability. We aim to improve disabled people's lives through learning. So we provide some local services, and we also provide a national service. Our local services basically aim to work with people at a local level. We help them to achieve their learning goals basically, so help them to put a plan in place and move forward or develop skills and access technology. At a national level, we have our Disabled Students Helpline, which basically provides information and advice to disabled people who are thinking about moving into learning, carers, parents, professionals. If you have a look on our website, you'll also see what projects we've got at the moment in which areas, and you can basically just phone the head office and speak to someone if you're interested in accessing a service. Just have an informal chat about how we may be able to work with you. At the end of the day, you've got legal rights as a disabled student under the Equality Act. It's not a case of you getting special treatment or special favours to give you a leg up and ahead of your classmates. It's about what you're legally entitled to. It's about putting you on an equal footing with people who don't have disabilities.
The future for me, I think, is primarily bright. I just want to pass on the message to a lot of kids that you may get frustrated at times with being dyslexic and dyspraxic, but you have to embrace that as part of who you are, and once you embrace it as part of who you are, then there's so much you can do with it.
Dyslexia won't go away, it's not going to be cured, but there are definitely strategies and help that can be provided.
I think embrace it, because life's never dull. There's an awful lot of humour.
Basically just keep going and don't really give up.
Keep on pushing yourself, and just don't think about what you can't do, think about what you can achieve.
So thinking outside the box is actually a good thing, and you should try and use your dyspraxia and dyslexia to help you make it in the world.
If you would like more information or support about dyslexia and dyspraxia or other neurodiverse disorders such as ASD or ADHD, you can visit the following websites: